Conversations with the Mind podcast, where we explore consciousness through conversations with interesting people. Our mission is to engage the collective mind piece by piece to bring greater clarity of mind to our listeners locally and across the planet, and to contribute to broaden the shared experiential knowledge and wisdom of existence. What's up, YouTube? Here we go. Alright, folks, welcome back to Conversations with the Mind. I'm your host, as always, Shane Lemaster, and I'm here for episode number 63 with a very special guest, Ronald Wilder. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, man.
And it's been a long time coming. I think, I've known you for, 4+ years, and it's good to, finally get to sit down with you one-on-one and talk to you outside the gym.
Definitely.
Nice. So the first question is always the same, and that is, and you've listened to the podcast, so you know it's coming, and that is, the title of the podcast is Conversations with the Mind. What does that phrase mean to you, and how does it resonate? How do you unpack that in your mind?
Really, to simplify it, I think of it as exploring yourself, really exploring your own ideas, what you're going through, how you want to address things in your life, or maybe how you wish things would have gone, or I don't know, anything like that. Really just like addressing all the aspects of your life and digging deep and really trying to unpack those.
Yeah, and right before the podcast we were talking about self-exploration and how important, to us that is. Yeah. And not only do I see a lot of people kind of like shying away from self-exploration, I think out of fear and things like that. I know I certainly shied away from wanting to explore myself in a lot of different ways. But there's a lot more people now wanting to, dig deep and explore, what is that thought that I just had, or what is that emotion that I just felt, and trying to understand themselves a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, how do you do that? It takes a lot of courage to be able to face yourself in a lot of ways and say, like, I need to change some things about me, or, maybe that behavior, that thing I said was inappropriate, like, how can I do better? It takes courage to do that, I think.
Really just looking at people's reactions of you, maybe certain opinions of you, maybe... Like with myself, people think, or often say, like, maybe I'm not, like, as open or emotional, things like that. And so that's
I get
definitely...
that all the time, too.
Yeah, so that's definitely something I want to work on and try and address more and be more friendly and things like that.
Because it's not like you don't... you feel these emotions,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we feel these things inside, and I don't know how, or... what your conditioning was coming up, growing up, but my conditioning was to, stuff that stuff down, stuff the emotions down, don't show any, you gotta be self-sufficient, all these things, and I still had these feelings inside, like, well, what am I supposed to do with these, and they turned self-destructive for me, but, we still have these emotions,
Absolutely.
We still gotta deal with them, and I think it's admirable that you're stepping out of yourself to try and wear that on your sleeve a little bit more, be a little more vulnerable.
Yeah.
My experience of you, even in the first couple of years at the gym, you're really quiet. You came in, you took care of business, and then you took off on your bike, and I was like, okay, thanks, Ronald, for. It's been amazing to train with you in MMA and in Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
And but in the last couple years, you really started, it's noticeable.
Yeah.
You're wearing that on your sleeve a little bit more, and that's certainly something I'm trying to work on too. I'm kind of seen as like a stoic person most of the time. Even my wife says it too. Like I don't really wear my emotions, even though she's an empath. She can feel like the vibration that I'm putting off, like what I'm feeling. Yeah. But my face won't match it. My face will be like, oh, he's okay. And it's confusing to people sometimes. So I too am trying to show or embrace more of that softer side,
Yeah.
How do you explore that in yourself?
Really, certain things that people say, like people that I care about, when they express it, it really hits me. And like it makes me feel like I hate that I leave people with that impression. And so yeah, I don't know. I just like really had to reflect and address it and look back and oh man, really try and understand. Really put myself in their place and really try and understand from their perspective why they would think I wouldn't care about them, things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a tough skill to learn, to put yourself in somebody else's, not just somebody else's shoes, and try and understand, you know, where they come from, but what they're feeling, even if your feelings disagree with theirs, you know?
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to leave bad impressions on people. I think, I would hope that most people are striving to just be kind and compassionate to others. I certainly have people in my life right now that are, you know, very, very difficult to deal with, and very difficult for me to put myself in their position as well. Even though I've been down some of those dark self-destructive holes before myself, and I know what it feels like. I also know, you know, that there's hope on the other side if you want it, you know. And it's not up to us. This is something I learned as a therapist too. It's not up to us to like change other people. It's up to them to change themselves. We can help plant seeds. We can help provide support when they need it. We can help by holding space just emotionally from a distance, you know. I've had to create a lot of distance and boundaries between myself and some of my loved ones to save myself,
Yeah.
you know, and that's a tough choice that you have to make sometimes. Like, do I sacrifice myself for this person, or do I save myself and hope that the seeds that I planted are gonna impact them in a way that they can make change?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Do you ever feel like you leave bad impressions with like friends or people from the gym?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. People tell me initially, like, they think that I hate them. And I started to like think about that and like really think about the way that I kind of act when I initially meet people. And
How do you act when you meet people?
honestly, I don't think people realize that I'm shy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I'm incredibly
and
shy, and then I'm introverted on top of that, and I don't think they realize that those are two different things to deal with, really. Yeah, so.
And you are how tall?
6'4".
And you're 6'4",
So
you
I'm
like,
intimidating.
Yeah, you like stand over and you tower over people, and so sure. I mean, I think most people would take it that way.
Yeah.
And that sucks, man. So, but you know, the other day, I think it was yesterday. Yesterday, I saw you actively, like, reaching out to a new guy. And
Oh, yeah. Sage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, striking up a conversation. You guys talked for, like, 20 minutes, right? And I didn't think that he felt, you know, intimidated at all, you know? So, I think, yeah, I get the same thing sometimes, too.
Yeah.
Like, does he even care that, you know, that I'm here? And I'm just up in my own head, man.
Yeah.
I'm up in these, you know, I'm dealing with my own conversations in my mind most of the time, and, you know, putting together problems and solutions to issues. So for people who are out there listening, Ronald and I love you guys. Like, we're both pretty shy, or we're up in our heads, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but exploring yourself in that way, like, how are you pushing yourself? You said, before we got started, I mean, you're dabbling in meditation, visualization, things like that for fighting, right? And I want to get to how you're talking or how you're using those things for your fighting too, because I think the listeners could get some benefit from that. and also your breathing technique. But how are you engaging like the meditation and the visualization as far as like exploring your inner worlds?
I almost feel like it's something I've always done, like just looking back at certain conversations or certain situations and thinking about how they went, and thinking about things that I could have done to steer it better. Whether it was just a casual conversation, like trying to keep the conversation going, trying to be more entertaining, more funny, or trying to be more engaged, more interested in some way. Just trying not to be awkward and like leave that bad impression, you know what I mean? So just like really trying to think of ways that I can express my interest and enhance like my ability to like converse like next time, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's like
just trying to get better at it. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It seems like you go back to past memories and you're like, how can I do that better? How can I do it? And you try and integrate it forward.
Yeah.
That's a really effective way to explore, you know, thoughts and past social interactions.
Yeah.
Nice. So being an introvert, like you said, and being someone shy, when you first are meeting someone, what does it feel like on the inside to be you in that situation, knowing that you could be coming off as intimidating? You have that self-knowledge. People have told you, right? And you go into the situation. What are you feeling inside, like, when you're doing that?
I don't even know. I think it's difficult to say. I feel like I almost like immediately like try to avoid the situation somehow, some way, until like I don't dive right into the introduction. Like I kind of like wait around until like I feel good or feel comfortable. Maybe I'm like waiting for like more people that I know to like that are familiar to like feel more comfortable, and then like I go into that situation with like absolute confidence.
Mm-hmm. So the people around you have an impact, right? So like
sure.
If there's other people kind of backing you up, you feel more supported in that situation.
Yeah, for sure.
But then if there's nobody around, how do you do it in those situations?
It really just depends. It depends on the situation. Like,
like, do you feel
say for
like a gut feeling or an instinct about somebody, or?
It's like I think it's like approaching it like fighting. Like, you know how you go in with those nerves, maybe up until like they call your name and you have to walk out, and like really at that point you're just like focused on like doing what you need to do. Like finally the waiting is over. Like in those situations, something just clicks and it starts to work out. Like for job interviews, I know I just have to do it. So like going into it, I'm preparing as much as possible. I'm trying to envision how it would go, what type of questions they're going to ask, how I would respond, how I would answer, making sure I don't speak too much about one thing or the other. Trying to put my best foot forward, really, and I try and prepare in that way and visualize that. But I mean, of course, the nerves are always still there. Like you feel that up until when I guess like when I sit down and I introduce myself. And then something just clicks, like it's like fight or flight, really. And like I don't want to flee, so.
Right. So you got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the fight example, there's a big preparation period or job interview, right?
Yeah.
It seems like you could apply that same concept to social interactions, right? Like practicing with friends or with total strangers, maybe. I don't know. That can be either more difficult or easier depending on who you are and how you view that. But there's that preparation piece, and I think that's super important. But then there's this, for you, there's this distinction, like with the job interview, it's like something is going to happen no matter what.
Yeah. And
then as soon as that switch happens, you're in go mode, right? Just like fighting. But you're finding that switch a little bit, and ambiguous, like in social situations?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, like, because, you said you sit down and it's like fight or flight. I think I can, like, totally identify with that in certain situations. And I don't know what it is that just forces you to perform on the spot, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think there's certainly situations where I fail at that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe thinking about the situation, whether I think of a fight as something that's dire, and I think of a job interview as something that's dire, and then maybe social situations, I'm not thinking of it in that way.
Yeah, like there's consequences to not performing. Absolutely. In the other two. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's consequences to not performing socially too.
Absolutely, but like I'm not necessarily thinking about that immediately.
Right. It may not.
Or I don't know what the immediate consequence is, because like with fighting, I know that I can get hurt, or I know that my career can start to fail if I lose too much or something like that. You know what I mean? So like I want to win, I want to succeed, I want to come out unharmed. And with job interviews, I want to come out with a job. I don't want to fail and have to continue the job search. But with social situations, you don't necessarily know what impact an individual could have in your life.
Wow. Yeah, like, for real. Like, the impact that one person can have on your life can be far greater than any job interview or fight career that you could ever have, right? Yeah. Certainly. Like, if anybody out there is, like, married or anything or has kids, like, that's a big example, right? You meet somebody and it changes your life forever. Mm-hmm. Wow. So, in one sense, like, there's more pressure.
Yeah.
On the other sense, and you really don't want to mess that up, right? Because what if this person in front of me is, like, going to be somebody really important and I screw this up?
Exactly.
So then, I don't know. I think where my head would go is, like, I try and implant the very next thought would be, like, well, I'm not really going to influence, like, if this person's meant to be an important factor in my life, they're going to be that no matter how hard I try or not hard I try, you know? Like, like they came into my life for some reason, and they're going to be here as long as they need to be for that reason. So I guess I put more faith and trust in the longer term process and less in, like, the little mistakes that I can make. Because I say the wrong thing on a daily basis to one person or another, right? Like,
absolutely.
Whenever I go in the gym, I try and say hi to almost everybody I can before we even get on the mat, and you know, I'll just try and strike up, like, surface level conversations, and I'll say something and like walk away and be like, what did I just say to that person? Like, what do they think of me coming on the mat? But as soon as we get on the mat, like, as soon as I cross that threshold, like, all that's gone.
Yeah.
And then I'm just there, you know. That's like my sanctuary.
I think I go through the same thing. Like, I think I'm overthinking it, honestly, in social situations. Maybe now that you say, like, there's more pressure because I don't know how that person could influence me.
Right.
So maybe I'm just, like, overthinking it and don't want to be, like, overwhelming in one way or the other. But I don't know. Once I get on the mat, like you said, something changes. I just get more comfortable.
Well, think about it. Like, when we're on the mat, I mean, it's super intimate, right? It's super close. Like, you're getting to know somebody at their, like, soul level, right? You see them cry, you see them frustrated, you see them succeed, you see all these things, and you experience it right there with them.
Yeah.
It's way, I don't know, I feel like I learn so much more about somebody if I grapple with them or if I spar with them than I would in any 5-minute introductory conversation.
Yeah.
Right? And you're right. I think, like, if you can understand, like, there's some overthinking going on there, and just remind yourself, like, oh, you know, this is part of the process of putting myself on putting that on your sleeve, you know, that vulnerable you. You know, Ronald, I don't think anybody could be intimidated in that way once they started talking with you, right? Or they start rolling with you or something.
Yeah.
You know, there's just that connection that's made there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you really know somebody when you fight them. in a friendly way.
Yeah, for sure.
In a controlled way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. You think you know people at the gym better than you know others in your life?
Absolutely. I think there's just that factor of also being surrounded by people that are working towards a common goal, and people that understand that, or they understand why you're doing what you do. You know what I mean? Like, because even I think what we do is crazy to some degree, but I still want to do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's why I want to do it, because other people won't do it.
Yeah,
you know, I enjoy doing things that other people are like terrified of.
Yeah, it's pretty unique. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of that, you have a fight coming up soon, right?
Yeah, I just signed the contract, so it is confirmed. At least on my end. But yeah, I'll be doing my first MMA fight in like 2 years. January 25th.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm hoping that this podcast will be out by then, for sure. Actually, tonight, I just wanted to mark the date. So it is the 21st, and it's the winter solstice. So if anybody knows anything about winter solstice, it's a big time for big changes. So if you want to make big changes in your life, tonight is maybe the night to start setting that intention. Well, hopefully you did by the time you listen to this. But go buy tickets for Ronald's fight coming up in January. So 2 years. It's been 2 years since your last MMA.
Just about. I think maybe longer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe longer. Yeah, my last fight was I believe March 2017. So longer, really. Yeah.
Okay. And you've been doing kickboxing since then, right? And grappling tournaments.
That's really just been this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been this year. I picked up a kickboxing fight in April this year, 2019, April. And I won that fight. And then that led me to taking up another kickboxing match in June. And I won that. And that kind of just led to me feeling like I want to do something to make me more competitive in MMA. So like I wanted to join Jiu-Jitsu, take the Jiu-Jitsu class at our school. So I started doing that, and that led to grappling tournaments. And then, yeah, eventually that led to one more kickboxing fight, and now I'm on to my next MMA fight.
Nice.
Yeah.
It took a long time for us to convince you to come to Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think was the hesitation?
I mean, there were a lot of factors, like, just like with school, for the first 2 years I was training with you guys, I think I was still in school, so I didn't know if I could really commit that much time to it, and money too, but even after that, there was still some hesitation, and I think that was just, confidence, really. Yeah, I didn't know how good I was at Jiu-Jitsu, or how good I would be at MMA. I think, yeah, dude, after, my second MMA fight, my second loss in that sport, I was thinking about quitting, man. So I wasn't even like really confident and really sure if I wanted to pursue it that hard and make that much of an investment if I wasn't that great at it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but eventually like that just changed, and I just wanted to make a genuine effort at getting better and being more competitive.
Nice. Yeah, I see that from a lot of people who start in MMA first and then think about a transition to Jiu-Jitsu. Is like there's some hesitation there because when you start Jiu-Jitsu in a gi, it's a totally different world, and now you're a small fish in a big pond.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody is a predator to you, so that's certainly knowing that that's coming, knowing that ego shattering is coming. That's a difficult leap for a lot of people to take if you started in MMA first. That's how I started. I started in MMA first. After traditional martial arts, I did MMA, and then did Jiu-Jitsu to like bolster my MMA game.
Okay.
Just like like you did.
Yeah.
What I like about your approach is you saw that Jiu-Jitsu is not only going to help your MMA, but now it's sort of like a fresh start, right? You get to start from the beginning at something new and make it something that you like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely love jiu-jitsu. You know, I love doing that sport. It's a lot of fun for me, for sure. And I think it's something that's like, I don't know, MMA for me is like extremely, extremely competitive, extremely seriously. Like, I really want to pursue that. And jiu-jitsu for me in its own right, as far as like the sport goes, is a lot more casual. Like, I still want to win, but I don't know, I don't get as anxious about it.
Yeah, I like that part about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were.
No, that was no.
No, yeah, no, I agree. Like, there's less pressure. I don't know, maybe because MMA is a little more publicized, but some of the big like jiu-jitsu leagues and matches, I can imagine there's a lot of pressure at Abu Dhabi, and there's a lot of pressure, sure. You know, a lot of people watching, but still not even quite the audience of MMA, and you know, maybe there's other sports too, other combat sports that haven't really taken off here in the States that I think if they did, they would be widely accepted. You know, I wish Muay Thai, like Thailand rules, I wish that was legal here in most states, but it's not, and it's not advertised, so that would be sweet.
I think they're getting closer towards that. I know Sparta is doing Muay Thai fights. They have elbow pads. So.
Yeah. Still not the same. I mean, it takes away an entire cutting weapon. Yeah,
absolutely. But as far as everything else goes, I think it's all equal. Like sweeps, clinching, you get to work the clinch more, knees. I guess the differentiation is like amateur and pro. I'm not sure what they're working with, but yeah.
And then now we have, we have bare knuckle fights up in Wyoming.
Yeah.
That happens, and then there's. Have you ever heard of Leftway?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
So I guess there was a Leftway fight. It was either last week or this coming week up in Wyoming.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was like the first one that they were reintroducing, but yeah, that sport sounds crazy, right? Headbutts
crazy.
Legal.
I wouldn't do it.
Right.
I would never do it. You can get knocked out, and your coach can revive you.
Yeah.
You know, get you to wake up, and you can keep going, and it's fine.
That's It's messed up, but. You know, if there's people out there that want to do it, I don't want to restrict their ability to do it.
I don't want to knock it, but I don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm. I'll watch it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be interesting. Oh, yeah, speaking of watching, congrats to Courtney King.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that sweet belt.
Yeah, she got her first pro title MMA belt last night. And what was the fight league called?
Fury
Fight League.
Yeah.
And yeah, we all watched it I watched it from my phone in Walmart, but the rest of the team was watching it together, and we were watching it, and it was amazing. She just dominated this girl, 3 rounds, and it was fantastic. I can't wait to see where her career goes, and she's just so humble about it too. Mm-hmm. You should have met Courtney in the beginning too. I've known Courtney, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, something like that, and she was super shy too. In the beginning,
she
really? Still is pretty shy, you know.
Okay.
But I think through this sport and building confidence through through your teammates, especially, but also through competition.
Yeah.
I think it helps to open all of us up to what we're talking about before exploring.
Absolutely. For sure.
I mean, I don't know about you, but some of my opponents have become really good friends. Some of my MMA opponents and some of my grappling opponents.
That hasn't really happened for me yet, but this most recent opponent, he was just a really nice and genuine guy from my experience, and so he had sent me a friend request before, just because we had set that fight up with another organization prior, and we weren't able to get it done, and so he messaged me saying that he still wanted it to happen. And so instead of me having to go to Utah, he said he was willing to come to Colorado to do it. So he made that happen. He was really respectful about it. And yeah, after the fight, I accepted his friend request. And then like his entire team friend requested me. So they were just, a really nice group of people, really respectful about it, not bitter about, the loss. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're in Utah. I'm not going to go visit them anytime soon. But
right.
Yeah, they're a cool group of people, I think. And, potential friends in the future. I mean, I think we see them around a lot. I know Dean has fought in one of their teammates, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And
what was that promotion out in Utah? That it was supposed to be? You remember?
It's a pretty cool promotion. I think it's Mountain Forest, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to have some like sister gyms out in Utah that we'd go travel out to and train in Salt Lake, and so shout out to Hidden Valley and shout out to First BJJ in Utah, but yeah, like we used to take trips out there and it'd be so much fun, like spend a week or 2 weeks just training and eating and lounging around, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was awesome. The Master Silvio came up from Brazil a couple times and hung out with us for a couple weeks. That was fun. But it's good to have like those connections in different cities, so that when you do travel, you can find a mat to train at the least, or find a place to stay.
For sure.
And save some money, right?
Yeah. I know when we went out to Courtney's fight, Courtney and Dean, they were fighting in Montana for... Do you know the league? I don't remember it.
No, I don't remember.
Fusion Fight League, I think. Yeah, they went to Montana to fight for them, and Z had some sister gym. I forget the name, but
Grindhouse.
Grindhouse, yeah, Grindhouse MMA.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
Yeah, we went to train with them, and roll with them on their mats like day before. I forget, but yeah, that was a fun experience, an awesome experience, really.
Right, and it just feels like a family too, right? You just walk in and everyone's so welcoming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Grindhouse is one of our sister friend gyms, and then we have a couple other, like the Olsen brothers. I don't think you've ever been up there, but I think they're up in Montana still, but world champions. They're awesome guys, amazing. So yeah, it's cool to like know people all over. I think one time I went to an academic conference out in Phoenix, and I was like, shit, man, I gotta go to Phoenix. This is gonna suck. It's gonna be hot as balls, and it was hot. It was like 115 in the day. You couldn't even go outside. But Z, I told Z, I was like, hey, I'm headed to Phoenix, and he's like, oh, you should hit up this gym.
Oh, really?
And it was Professor Jay Page's, so shout out to him too. He's an awesome guy. And so I arrived, and I just, I hit up Jay on his, through text, and I was like, hey, I'm in town. Z sent me.
Okay.
I don't have a ride to your gym, and he drove all the way across town, picked me up, took me to his gym. Huge class, like 40 people. They were great. They worked me that night, being the visitor, being the newbie. But then afterwards, he took me back home, picked me up the next day. So super friendly and accommodating, and that's always been my experience when I travel and bring my gi with me.
Awesome.
You can just hit up professors anywhere and just be like, hey, I'm from out of town. I'd love to hit your open mat, and most of the time they're really nice.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the MMA, or I don't know, the martial arts community is really connected and really friendly usually, Mm-hmm. I know Jake Sage was telling me, a lot about his experiences wrestling in high school, I think, and then wrestling in college, meeting people that trained at trials and meeting people that trained at Z's, and how he ended up starting his own gym. Through having connections and, through knowing people and training with different people and having a lot of different experiences, and then eventually, ending up training with our gym for a little bit. So, I don't know. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Everybody's journey is
intertwined.
Yeah, and fascinating too. How did you? So you started with us 4 years ago. How did you get
into
drawn?
martial arts?
Yeah, how did you get drawn to it?
I don't know. I'm a guy, so that influence is always there as far as martial arts. Thinking it's cool or wanting to get into it. I took a few karate classes when I was younger, but nothing serious. But when I was going to college, I received a scholarship where I needed to be engaged on campus in some fashion, and so eventually that led to me wanting to join some sort of martial arts club. And I was originally looking for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I couldn't find it.
So you knew what it was going into it.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, a little bit.
Where had you seen it?
I was researching.
Okay.
I was researching what would be the best martial art to get into, and everyone, always said Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Unfortunately, I couldn't find like the club I was looking for at CSU, and I ended up finding a Taekwondo club instead. My friend pointed it out and said I had the perfect body type for it because it involves kicking, and so tall guys usually succeed, and he was right. So yeah, I had my first real martial arts experience with Taekwondo as far as dedicating to it and training, and I did that for about a year.
And that was in college?
In college, yeah, my freshman year. Yeah, and then that club actually ended up just disbanding. My master ended up graduating and starting his own school down in Parker. So I had to find something else to do. Like, I didn't want to stop, and I had already developed interest in other arts, and so that led to me taking a Muay Thai class at the CSU Rec Center, just a little like 2-day-a-week thing. And then eventually, I started talking to people like on the mat room when I was training by myself. People were asking me, where do I train, how long I've been training. They were like, oh, your kicks are sick and all that, for whatever reason, people were super friendly and like just gravitated to me and started talking to me when I was on the mat. And I always heard about, or people recommended to me, going to trials or Z's. Those are the two names I remember. And they rivaled each other. If someone said a good thing about trials, they were saying something bad about Z's. If someone said something good about Z's, they were saying something bad about trials. And so, I don't know, it was an interesting experience, but that's how I ended up finding out about both gyms and how I ended up going to Z's.
Yeah, I try and leave that feud, I'm using air quotes here, I try and leave that like out of the conversation whenever I talk about Z's, just because it's not really a feud. It's just like we just happen to be in the same town, and we fight a lot on cards,
Yeah, and that's what I noticed once I joined the gym. I was like, this feud is like almost non-existent. Right. What's going on? Why are people talking about it so much? But either way, whatever caused it, Z's rung in my head, and I ended up checking out that gym, our gym. Yeah. And that's how I got into it, yeah. So I ended up joining Z's in 2015, June 2015, yeah.
Nice. Haven't looked back since.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I have a similar upbringing. Mine started way earlier than yours, but Taekwondo was like most of my foundation. And I stopped doing that, I think, when I was like 13.
How far did you get?
I got to black tip red belt, which is right before the junior black belt. Okay. And for whatever reason, I don't even remember why, stopped doing that. I think that was the time when I started middle school and like skateboarding, and then it wasn't as cool to be in martial arts, so I just kind of dropped off. I had competed at the national level and stuff in Taekwondo up to that point, and I think I won like a national sparring championship in '93, so I was like 10 years old. So yeah, when I was young and like developing, and like my muscle memory was like firing on all like 12 cylinders, like I was ingraining these Taekwondo movements in my body, and then I stopped doing it, started skateboarding, and then in middle school got into wrestling, which is a martial art too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't think about it at that time, but I mean, in retrospect, like I never really stopped the martial arts for very long. But that Taekwondo background is so interesting to bring into MMA, I think, and kickboxing, American kickboxing, and Muay Thai too, because it involves so much more flexibility and interesting angles at which kicks come from, right? Yeah. Like axe kicks. Like you don't see that very often in Muay Thai, but if you implement that in a good way, it can work. Or like like spinning kicks, or even spinning reverse side kicks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, some jumping kick movements can be useful. So I think having that initial Taekwondo mindset kind of leaves your mind open to experimentation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
On the mat when you're just doing MMA or Muay Thai.
For sure. Yeah, I think I even like throw my kicks in a different way.
Yeah,
like, not,
me too.
Yeah, not like precisely, you know, how like Z would teach it, or I don't know how someone traditional would teach it. Like, I don't know, like stepping forward first. I kind of like do it all at the same time. I don't know, like it's slightly different, but yeah, I don't know. I try to explore things in a different way for sure. Yeah, I try to use different kicks. You know, I even try to like emulate different techniques that I might see and see if it works for me.
Yeah, and you know, it's fun to experiment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. I find myself experimenting almost every time I spar. Like, I think people pointed it out to me that I don't necessarily like do the same thing every time. It's a little bit different, and I don't know. I wasn't always conscious of it. I think it was just a thing where like I was trying to address something that I felt was an issue. But
what was the issue? Because I heard that feedback from somebody the other day. They came up to me and were telling me about your sparring and what it was like to spar you, and they're like, I was expecting like 2 of the same combo, but he did the second combo backwards and totally screwed me up. And I was like, yeah, that's what he's supposed to be doing.
That's hilarious. What was the issue?
Yeah,
I probably got hit, or maybe I think I'm getting hit too much, or if I get hit once, it's an issue in my mind. So I'm like, I want to change something. You know what I mean? I think that's all it is, or like maybe I didn't get to land as many combos as I wanted. Like, I felt like a little bit too defensive, or I didn't have enough openings. I'm just like trying to change things to where I can, you know, hit and not be hit, obviously, but do it more actively and not be so passive about it, I guess. Like looking good, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Looking good for the judges and everyone else. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think one of my main focuses in any combat sport practice is try to not be predictable.
Yeah.
Right? Like, my technique can be spot on. It can be awesome. But if the opponent knows that it's coming because I've done it like 15 times.
Yeah, exactly.
That technique is not helpful to me anymore. So trying to be less predictable, I don't even think, like in Jiu-Jitsu, I don't think I'm really known for any particular thing. I don't know, maybe you guys have a different opinion. But
I don't think so. I think we're all just trying to catch up.
Right, yeah, I think I just try and vary it as much as possible.
Okay. Yeah, I wish I was like that in Jiu-Jitsu. I'm just not like at that level yet. I feel a lot more comfortable with my striking, and yeah, I think it's exactly that. Like yeah, when you throw something and they're onto it and they've adjusted, then it's an issue. Like so, I discard it. You know what I mean? So I guess that's what's happening.
Yeah, and that's you know, coming up and developing in my own Muay Thai stuff. Like that was one of my biggest issues, was letting go of the pattern, right?
Yeah.
Like a number 3 combo. You're like, hit him a few times and it feels great with it, and then he gets wise to it and it doesn't work anymore. Yeah. But I had a tendency to still hold on to the hope that number 3 combo is going to work. So instead of just discarding and adjusting, which I should have done, you know, I'd get stuck in these loops.
Yeah. I don't know, I find people getting stuck in the loops and I notice it. And I'm like, oh, I like this. I want to pick on that. Yeah.
And,
but, like, I don't want that to happen to me, so, like, that's why you got to discard it, yeah.
Do you like, when you pick up on other people's weaknesses and things like that, during a match, do you talk to them about it afterwards and be like, hey, like, I saw this and you might want to think about that and something like that?
You know, I should do that more. I think I'm bad about that. I should do that more. I try to, like, do it non-verbally by, like, picking on it. Like, if someone's not checking a kick, I, like, keep kicking their leg, and that's all I'm doing. I'm, like, kicking your leg. Like,
hoping they'll get it.
Check it, yeah. And I think I just need to be like, hey, you should start working on checking kicks more, or start working on, I don't know, being like, I try to give that same advice, I just don't think I give it as often as I should, is what I'm saying. But, like, I'll tell people, like, I'm picking up on patterns, so, like, if I'm ever, like...
That's a great way to put it, too.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't sound like you're, like, criticizing, right? Because, again, we go back to social interaction. Like, the last thing you want to do is come off as, like, a dick.
Yeah.
You know, after, and you'd be like, dude, you fucking suck. Like, you gotta fix this thing and this. And you don't want to come off that way. You want to be... Exactly. I like that approach you just said, like like I'm picking up on these patterns, and you might want to look at, how to defend against this particular movement or something. Like this is where I was seeing the hole and where I was able to get through. But right now, nonverbal is a great way to teach too. As long as you don't turn people away.
Yeah.
Because it's too much.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. That's sometimes an issue.
Yeah, for sure. Finding that balance, making sure you're like safe for everyone, for sure.
Yeah, because really, it's the team that makes you better.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
your interaction with them. Like, without them there, like, there's no way you're going to be as good as you could be.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm learning. That's why I want to be, like, more verbal about, like, just, like, pointing things out. Because, like, the better they are, the better I have to be. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you turn their strengths into, your strengths. And we feed off each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, without that communication there, I think it doesn't benefit us as much as it could.
Yeah.
Me too. I try and give feedback as much as possible on the mat, especially when I'm teaching. But sometimes, like you said, like when you were describing your time at the CSU gym and just kicking on the bag, and I can just picture, because when I run the track in CSU, I see like all sorts of wannabes in that mat room, like trying to do the stuff they saw on YouTube, or even having their iPad there with YouTube open, like learning how to like.
Oh, okay.
I mean, good for them for
making
being resourceful, yeah, but it's comical to do that, and so I can imagine you like with good technique hitting the bag and people just being drawn to you, right? And you being an introvert, being like, "Whoa, like get away from me! Like I just want to be here to kick stuff."
Yeah, kind of.
I feel that same thing sometimes because I'm at the level that I'm at in Jiu-Jitsu, where like some days I'm just there to train. I'm just there to like clear my mind and get my reps and go hard and push myself. And people are naturally just gravitated to me for feedback or instruction or something, and I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm pretty introverted myself, so and not so much because I don't fear the social interaction, but I'm just so up here in my head, like I'm just mulling over such like I don't know, like deep existential thoughts most of the time in my day that most of the time I'm like when I'm training and just doing that in my mind, I'm kind of just tuned out,
Yeah, I understand.
So yeah, I feel for you when you describe that sensation. It's interesting, but our team certainly helps me break out of some of those molds.
For sure. I mean, I also think the team is like part of the reason why I'm why I have the confidence I do. I'm just always receiving compliments, you know what I mean? And for the longest time, I didn't feel like I deserved it, and I think that's something I have to like embrace now. Like maybe I do have knowledge that I can pass on. Like,
yep. Well, we don't throw out bullshit compliments either at the gym. At our gym, we tell it to you straight. So if you're getting compliments, like, yeah, that's real. That's a real thing.
Yeah. And I guess that's just something like I have to embrace and like realize that maybe eventually I am gonna have to step into that role of or I guess I already have like that I was doing it with Sage, like stepping into that role of teaching people and trying to dump my information into them.
Yeah. I think you're well on your way.
Awesome.
Yeah, nice. I think that's a good place for us to take a quick commercial break. So stick around for segment number 2 with Ronald. All right, welcome back to segment 2. Oh yeah, left side. All right, folks, welcome back to Conversations with the Mind. We are back for segment number 2 with Ronald. Yep. So I wanted to make sure that we got to this because I mentioned it earlier, and I wanted to ask you about your applications of meditation, visualization, and also breathing into your training, but also into your competitive routines.
guess it happened really like as far as like really thinking about it as far as teaching the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class and putting us all, having us all lay down on the mat. Closing our eyes and just breathing in, breathing out. And then leading into visualizing ourselves in competition, as far as entering the building, stepping onto the mat, having the ref tell you to start the match, whatever it is, whether you're in a MMA fight or a jiu-jitsu match, whatever it is. But I just started thinking about that a lot more, especially going into this most recent fight, especially since I was preparing for that one for a while. It was supposed to happen in November, and it happened a month later, so I was thinking about that one for a while. So really just whenever I visualize the fight, I always visualize myself finishing it and winning, succeeding really. And I really didn't think about it in any other way. Like every time I thought about it, the scenario might have changed as far as the sequence of hits or whatever, but it was always that success, that type of success. And then I was definitely, sitting in the sauna more, just focusing on my breathing and then meditating, just trying to clear my head. Specifically when I got anxious, just because that was a time too. I just started a new job, so there was a period of a month I was just no job, kind of anxious, waiting to find out if I had a position or not. So I was just getting anxious about that and the fight. And so really, I just took the time that I had, the free time that I had, to really clear my head and explore just different ways of clearing my mind and focusing my mind. Yeah.
Was that the session I did like a month or two ago after jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for those of you guys out there who are interested in any kind of visualization or imagery or anything like that, those components that you described are super important. So not just visualizing the fight itself, but visualizing the day up, leading up to it, because that's when your anxiety and nerves start to build, right? So that's when the fight day comes, that's when you're going to have to manage it. So start your visualization well before the match. What is it going to be like on the drive over there? What's it going to be like in the locker room? What's it going to be like on the walk out to the fight?
Yeah.
And in your visualization, when you start to feel the anxiety, because what you're doing is you're tricking your brain into thinking that you're actually there, but you're not there. So because you're not there, you're able to work on what would I do in this situation to calm my nerves down, right? So you start to feel the anxiety in the visualization, but then your next exploration of self should be okay, so I'm feeling the anxiety now. What can I do in this moment to bring my anxiety down, right? Focus on the breath, or ground myself with my feet, really feel where I'm connected to the earth, right? That's another technique. So then in your visualization you have a solution to those situations. So then when fight day actually comes and you start to feel the anxiety on the drive over, or you start to feel the anxiety on the walk out, you already have a pre-rehearsed solution that works for you.
Yeah.
Right? So then by the time you get in the match, you're actually, you're mentally peaking instead of holding yourself back because of these anxieties and things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But the anxiety is totally normal to have.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that was an interesting thing to learn about. I started recently watching the Joe Rogan podcast, and he has the MMA show, and he often talks about, or he speaks with different fighters, and I've gotten tons of information from them, but specifically about their mindsets. Even Donald Cerrone says he goes in there terrified. Fighting is terrifying until you get in the cage and you just do it and you handle it. So I've just learned that it's just a normal thing, and so I think that's just made me a little bit more comfortable. The anxiety's still there, but I know it's normal. I don't let it bother me as much. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And you've already seen the outcome happen in your mind already. You already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to be victorious, right? And that's another important part that I think you mentioned for others out there doing their own visualizations is to try and train yourself to always see yourself winning. I think you've reached a level where if that's happening every single time, that's right where you want to be.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, it's a struggle, especially at first when you try and implement this technique, because you'll have a tendency to start seeing yourself getting caught with something or getting submitted in one way. And it can get frustrating, like, I'm only supposed to be visualizing wins. What is going on, right? Well, it's normal to visualize yourself getting lost and getting stuck and getting submitted and getting knocked out. That's normal. That's part of the nerves. It's part of your system going through all the possible scenarios.
Yeah.
But that's only one scenario, right? So when that happens, when you start using these visualization techniques, if you get stuck or you get trapped, and you see yourself getting caught, what you're supposed to do is stop yourself in that position and think of five different outcomes that can come from that situation. Like, how do you escape? How do you get on top? How do you get yourself into a better position? And you think of 5 good ways to get out of it, and then you start the visualization over again. So then if you get trapped, you have 5 possible outcomes that are positive for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's definitely something I want to try, because I think that's something I've been working on recently as far as, preparing for this mixed martial arts match. And, one of the difficulties is, maybe not difficulties, but like, it gets more complex than a kickboxing match because it can go to the ground in a lot of different ways. And so the ideas that I have, are more diverse. So I appreciate that advice is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good. And since you've been coming to Jiu-Jitsu, you should be able to think of multiple options in any scenario on the ground.
Yeah.
Where you can, at minimum, control.
Mm-hmm.
With your length, dude, you could be doing. I'm not doing you any justice in your rubber guard game. Like, you need to start studying that on your own. Like,
oh yeah,
that stuff is brutal for people with your kind of length. You'll be able to wrap people up in an MMA situation and beat them with your elbows and fists.
For sure.
That's such a powerful position to be on the ground. So being able to have that experience, now you can, like, in your visualizations, like, incorporate those scenarios too.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling a lot more confident too. As far as, I don't know, competition is just becoming more normal since I've been doing it throughout the year. Like, I'm totally counting those those jiu-jitsu matches at those tournaments. Everything contributes to it, and all those experiences are randomly. I don't know who I'm dealing with, what they're gonna try and do, and I had to overcome those situations, and so far I've been pretty successful. You know what I mean? Like, not amazingly successful, but for my experience, yeah, I'm happy with it. Exactly.
Good.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about your breathing. What you do with your breathing?
I'm really just practicing the technique that you gave us. Just as far as sitting in a quiet environment and just focusing on my breathing, and that's it. Just focusing on my breathing and clearing my head. Just mostly when I have those anxious feelings or have a lot of thoughts going on, and I just need to relax.
Do you use it in your like in the middle of the action yet? Like, are you able to use it while you're rolling?
Yeah, to a certain degree. There are moments where I just like take time to like take a deep breath and just relax and like really think my way out of something. You know what I mean? If I feel like something's dire. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I think a big part of jiu-jitsu is learning where you can take more of those breaks, because they're really beneficial, right? To just, even if once you get used to paying attention to your breath, then in those moments of anxiety, even one breath makes a big difference.
Yeah,
Do you
absolutely.
Notice?
Yeah. Sage kind of put me in that situation when he had me in that rear naked choke the other day.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I was just I had to pick my moments where I was like, okay, I can breathe a little bit, and then I really didn't want to give him that tab. I really didn't want to give him that. So I just noticed, there were spurts of intensity, but then it would weaken, and then he would pick it back up, and it would weaken. And like in those moments where it would weaken, I would take the time to like just breathe and like allow the blood to flow a little bit before it came back on, and then eventually he had to let it go. He's burned out. Yeah, yeah. But situations like that, yeah.
Nice.
I don't want to be in too many of those, but yeah.
Right. So yeah, when you're in danger, it can be useful. But I think you'll start to find more opportunities when you are in dominant positions too. Like if you get like I don't know, say you just get a reversal and you're in top side control now, right? That's like, if you have a good position and you can hold it really well, you can take as many deep breaths as you need to.
Yeah,
and get your mind right.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're in an advantage position then, and so you can start to set them into traps. You know.
Absolutely. I don't know. I guess I do find myself in those positions where like I can like relax and hold a position. And I'm thinking it through. But in my mind, I was just kind of being goofy by doing that. I didn't realize that was a thing you could just do, or like that it was acceptable. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's very useful technique.
Okay, awesome.
No, it is. Jiu-Jitsu is really just about slowing things down.
Okay.
You know, if you can slow your opponent down, that's what you want.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I always just like focus on like getting that finish as quickly as possible instead of taking the time to make sure that I'm doing it properly. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we were talking more about mindset here, but I know what you mean, doing it properly as opposed to just getting submission, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when you get to blue belt level and you start applying that same, like, I just got to get the submission, like, blue belts at that level know how to get out. So if it's not a good technique, then it's not going to work on them, you know?
You got to set it up well.
Yeah, you got to set it up well and slow and technical as much as you can.
Okay.
There is a sense of urgency, though, sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? So doing things on the fly is important, and being spontaneous, like we were talking about before, like not being predictable.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring up this conversation we were having out in the garage. We were talking about caffeine as a drug.
Oh yeah.
Right. And you said you had because you had experience as a what is it?
I was like a sales associate at a gas station.
Right. But you said you saw like people acting crazy around caffeine and sugar.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I just observed a lot of behavior really as far as like what people were buying and like what people were doing like routinely. And oftentimes I saw people like on a routine basis buying like a collection of caffeine really, whether it was like Red Bull or Monster or coffee, 5-hour energy drinks. They just got a collection of these items, and a lot of these people, sometimes they were buying it for friends and coworkers and things like that, but some people were really taking all of that for themselves. Like, they needed it. It was almost like a supplementation for sleep in their minds, I think. I don't know.
Did you have regulars coming in?
Yeah, absolutely.
And just getting loads and loads of caffeine and sugar?
Definitely. Especially the people, in the businesses around us. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I have to admit, man, when I go into a 7-Eleven at like 2 a.m., it's because I'm really stoned, and I usually buy like 5 sweet things.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Donuts and like a box of cereal and stuff like that,
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot of Colorado stoners going into those things too.
Definitely.
But I can imagine, seeing the same people every day, getting the same load of caffeine and sugar, and you're like, that's just for you for today.
I experienced that even more so with cigarettes, really. That's what I thought about mostly, like, because people really did come in on a routine, I knew what they were coming in for it. To that extent, I would get like the exact number of packs of the exact brand, the exact kind of that brand, whatever it was. Like, I matched the package to the person, really. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was to that extent. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you said you had your own negative experiences with energy drinks, right?
I didn't really have my own negative experiences with energy drinks. I just always avoided those from the start just because of the stories that I heard as far as like athletes using them too much or consuming too much and experiencing heart issues, things of that nature. But as far as caffeine, I mean, I think at that same gas station, I think I definitely developed like an initial caffeine addiction and like because I was drinking soda every day, like started my day, end of my day out, like throughout the day while I was there, I was drinking soda because it was free. So eventually at some point, I don't know, I decided to stop for whatever reason.
Smart decision.
Yeah, definitely. But then I think I started going through withdrawals. Like one day I went in and I was just like dizzy, like, just really dizzy for no reason, almost like nauseous. And they were just, my coworkers were saying, just eat something. And I ate something and I still didn't feel any good. And then I was like, I'll just stock the cooler. I wanted to be in like a cool environment, like just kind of relax. And I even sat down in there for a little bit and I wasn't feeling great. So I don't know if that was like a caffeine withdrawal or not, but that was my experience with it. And I don't know, I've just obviously haven't been a fan ever since, but I still drink soda because I love soda because sugar, another addictive drug.
Yeah. I love caffeine in the sense that it helps me do my work. You know, I have to have my coffee every morning, you know, or else I'm pretty grumpy.
Yeah. I understand. It's a strong thing. I don't know. Do you feel like you get enough sleep?
No.
Yeah.
Not with school. I don't get enough sleep. Most
Okay.
nights I'm up to like 12 or 1. During finals week, man, in the last couple weeks, I've been up to like 4 or 5 in the morning every morning, and then getting up to be at work by 9.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was brutal, but I'm catching up in sleep now. But caffeine, like with energy drinks, like I had, so in my undergrad, I would always drink like two of those Go Fast. Tall ones, but they were sugar free, so I thought I was doing myself justice. I drink 2 of those in the morning before any kind of other caffeine, coffee or whatever, tea, usually later in the day, and it was so much caffeine. It was terrible for me, and I went on a trip with my family down to Mexico sometime in my undergrad, and one night we were out partying, and by this time I was sober, so I must have been like 21, 22, and so everyone's out drinking, and in order for me to stay out with them all night, I had to drink Red Bulls.
Okay.
So I'm just drinking Red Bulls all night long, and I think I drank like 12 Red Bulls in a night, and so we end up staying out really, really late. Everyone else goes home, and I can't sleep, obviously. They're all wasted, so they just pass out, and I'm just like buzzing. Like you talk about the heart stuff, like I could see like my heartbeat through my like rib cage a little bit.
Yeah.
Terrible. So I was like, I was freaked out and all hopped up on caffeine and ran home from wherever I was in Mexico. It was a couple miles, and found my way back to where we were staying. And the next day we all went like deep sea fishing, and everyone was like puking all over the boat because they were all hungover.
Yeah.
And I was just like buzzed all day still from the caffeine, but I caught a huge fish.
Okay.
So that was good.
Nice trade-off.
But I felt terrible from all that Red Bull. I haven't touched Red Bull since then, man.
Oh man, I bet. Yeah, that sounds awful. I even feel that sometimes, like when I drink coffee, I don't know, randomly I'll start drinking coffee and like I feel that same like little buzz you were describing, and like I don't like that feeling, which is like why I end up not drinking coffee anymore. But yeah, I feel like people just use it to supplement sleep, like kind of like your situation. I wish you could just sleep.
Yeah, I like a little bit of buzz. But yeah, I wish I could just sleep.
Yeah.
Then I'd have no need for it.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know what the effects long term on our society is going to be, man. It's probably not going to be good. I mean, a little caffeine is, I think is pretty good for you.
I think it can be helpful.
Yeah. But I like to feel that buzz a little bit, and I do supplement it for sleep when I need the hours.
Yeah.
There's just not enough hours in a day to do all the things I want to do.
I understand. Mm-hmm. I understand. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, training in a day takes up a number of hours, right? At least from start to finish, like from the time you start like getting your stuff together at your house, going to the gym, doing your training, going home, putting the stuff away, taking a shower to that point.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hours.
Definitely. That's something I think about often. Because, I don't know, like, I work a pretty, like, normal schedule as far as, like, I work 8 hours a day, and then I go to the gym and I, like, train for, like, 3 hours a day, and that's Monday through Friday. And then when I have that leisure time, I want that leisure time. Like, so I just want to rest and relax. And one thing people often ask me about is, like, having a pet. And I'm like, I don't know how you do it, but, like, I feel like I could never have a pet because I wouldn't have the time to be there for it, you know what I mean? Because I'm gone, like, most of the day, either working or training, and then I would only be there for, like, maybe 4 hours before I had to sleep, you know? Yeah.
Well, I have to say thank goodness for Callie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because she loves my dogs so much and does so much for me to help make my life more convenient, but she makes their lives so wonderful. You know, and I didn't even ask her to, but she just kind of like took over feeding them most of the time, giving them their meds, you know. Since she's been in my life, she's convinced me to do more veterinary care with them. Like back in the day, like I've had these dogs for almost 10 years.
Oh, really?
Or more than 10 years, and they like for the first 5 years, they went to the vet maybe twice.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
I just kept them healthy. I
Yeah.
fed them, I walked them. You know, if they were bleeding, I took care of it. You know, and they were fine. And then Callie comes in my life, and now like we take them to the vet for everything.
Okay.
They're so pampered, man. Like they break a nail, they go to the vet. You know.
Yeah.
So she's helped me a lot in that area, taking care of a pet. So I don't know, but there's certain pets that are way low maintenance too, like turtles. Turtles are badass, man. I got into martial arts because of the Ninja Turtles.
Oh, really?
So
awesome.
Yeah, turtles are awesome. And what else? Well, there's like rodents of types.
I think I would want like a playful pet. Like I would want a dog. I think I'm a dog guy.
Dogs are the best.
Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, I think I would just need to be in that like sort of a team unit like you're in. I would need to be in a relationship where like we could like help each other out and make that possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or really low maintenance dog.
Or really low maintenance dog. I would still feel bad. I don't
Totally. No, I used to feel bad too. I used to have to leave them at home for 14 hours for double shifts and stuff.
Yeah.
Poor guys, but they're really good. That's why I think having 2 dogs was better than just having one.
Yeah, the interaction with each other.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, so they like kept each other company, and they made it more bearable.
Yeah, that works out. Yeah.
Still not ideal, but you know, it's kind of like you watch that one, and that one watches this one.
Yeah.
Nice. So yeah.
How do we get there?
We were talking about
time.
Oh.
Not enough time in the day. That's why you don't sleep.
Right.
And,
yeah, not enough time in the day, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There would definitely be like other things I'd be interested in, like learning about or maybe studying or getting into. If I had more time, I think for
like
sure.
What? What's on your list? I think we all have like these lists, right?
Yeah.
We have these lists
things
like
we want to do.
I heard about this thing called quantum physics. I want to know more about that, and you just like put it on a list, and then your list becomes so long, we don't check any off. So what's on your list at the top?
As far as things I might want to do,
or just like look into, explore, research on your own.
Yeah, man. So when I was in high school, my second semester of my senior year, I took a guitar class, and so I bought this guitar for it, and I learned how to play it a little bit to a certain extent. But for whatever reason, when I got into martial arts, I didn't put as much focus into it. So like, I kind of died off with like playing my guitar, and you know, I always like want to pick it up and like play a song every now and then, and I will do that every now and then. But I would like to do it more, and you know, get better at it, and maybe achieve a level of mastery with it, to some degree. At least get further than what I did. But also, I would like to learn how to draw a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I always doodled in class, and you know, you'll doodle every now and then if you're bored or something, if you have a piece of paper or whatever. And I decided to stop doing that because it was a waste of paper. So eventually, I bought like a little tablet for my computer. So I'll draw every now and then, and plus I like anime, so like I guess there's like inspiration in that. But
nice.
Create little goofy characters, but I think I did it wrong. I had a friend tell me that because I was trying to draw faces, and I had a friend tell me that faces are too easy to criticize because you're trying to achieve like that level of symmetry, and so it's easy to notice when things are off. And so I have to start with drawing things. So I just have to, I don't know, find time and get back into it, I guess. Just find whatever inspiration was there initially.
Nice.
Yeah.
With the music, what kind of guitar do you have? Is it electric or acoustic?
It's acoustic.
Nice.
It's acoustic. It was a classical guitar. Good for like finger picking playing styles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I would have learned musical instrument.
Oh,
I tried
yeah?
to learn piano. It just wasn't for me. I sang for a long time.
Oh, really?
Through my middle school and high school years.
Are you pretty good at singing?
Well, I used to be before like my voice dropped.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know now. My wife loves my singing. She every time I sing to her or I sing near her, like she gets like those puppy dog eyes when she just like looks at me, and I'm like, oh, you're embarrassing me.
Oh man, I
to
could
myself.
Yeah, I could never. I can't sing. I wish I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But dude, I think a musical instrument is so. I mean, it's not only good for you. It's like spiritually playing it and feeling good, but it's good for you. Like it's good for your brain. Like it helps develop really useful connections that are like enhance you in other areas too.
Yeah.
So for sure, for like my kids, my wife and I already agreed we're gonna make sure that they're required to do Jiu-Jitsu at least up to blue belt.
Okay.
And they're required to learn an instrument. Besides that, they can do whatever they want. Not whatever they want, but.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, there's so many instruments out there. I don't think it would be too much of an issue as long as you like explored, you know.
Right. But you knew like right away
that
right?
I wanted to like
that you wanted guitar.
Guitar? Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
What artists did you listen to that like drew you into guitar, and you're like, that's what I want to do?
See, I don't know. Like, I don't know what sparked that. Like, I always had a guitar when I was younger. Like, a family member had given it to me, but I never learned how to play it. Never knew how to play it. Never knew what to do with it. You always hear guitar solos in like movies, maybe, or shows. Maybe that's like what the inspiration was. I just thought the idea of playing guitar was cool, and it always sounded cool. Yeah, I mean, like, guitar is, I don't know, like, you hear guitar in rock, and then you hear it in hip-hop, and then, I don't know, it works in a lot of different genres of music, and it's pretty intense.
Yeah, man, some of those guitars, we listen to metal mostly in this household.
Okay.
But a lot of those guitarists use like 6-string, 8-string guitars, like crazy playing.
Absolutely. I would want to learn how to play like bass.
Yeah.
Yeah, bass guitar is, I don't know, I just really like the way it sounds. Like, when I was in that like guitar class in my high school, we played, I don't know, we did like some, I feel like we learned something by Jimi Hendrix. I can't remember what song, something rain.
He's the ultimate guitarist.
Was it Purple something? I don't know. Either way, I really like that funk sound, and I don't know, I like the sound of the bass guitar a lot, and when I was into it, I was watching YouTube videos all the time, and there was one YouTuber I would watch in particular that would take on all these challenges while I'm playing different songs, or playing it in a weird way, like playing the bass guitar with chopsticks or something goofy like that, but yeah. That's how into it I was at the time. But unfortunately, I don't know. I just never. I just dropped it once I got into martial arts for whatever reason. Like, martial arts just overwhelmed that. I don't know why.
But I bet your guitar's just sitting out at your apartment waiting to be played. played, right?
Yeah. I tried to get into it recently, and then I don't know. I don't know. I want to.
Yeah, guitar's kind of a difficult thing to just kind of like carry around with you all the time.
Oh, actually, that's part of the issue too. Since I'm like shy and introverted, my walls are thin in my apartment. I don't want to play and like be judged by my roommates. That's really what's holding me back.
So you don't play in your own place?
Nope.
Wow. Where do you go to go play?
I don't play. That's the issue. It's like I have to know all of them are gone, and I have the place to myself, and I feel more comfortable like that.
And it's not
otherwise, I don't.
You can't keep an instrument like that like in your car, right? Because of the cold.
Yeah, weather definitely does have an influence on it. It can work with the wood or something like that.
I was gonna say you should play it more in like social situations when you're with like friends and family, if you feel the need to, you know. But maybe that's pushing it.
I don't know. I like to be good at things before I flaunt.
Yeah. Studio time too is really expensive. So where do you go to? Where can you go practice?
Where could I go to practice? I thought of that, and I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I really just wait for those moments where I know everyone's gone. I think I'm gonna have that hopefully during this winter break. Well, since school's out, hopefully they'll go home and I'll have that space to myself and have that time to myself to do it and enjoy it. Yeah.
And that's I think that's perfect timing for you too, because you have this fight coming up, and so introspection and looking at yourself and all that stuff is really healthy, and you'll be going through that in the next month or two, and to have that space to do that is important.
Definitely.
A lot of people don't have that space, but I think we can create space to some extent, like just like telling people where we're at and just being like, if you don't hear from me in a week or two, it's not because I don't like you, it's because I'm doing other things in my life.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know. I've definitely had like introverted moments where I just disappear, but I don't plan to be introverted.
Yeah, it just kind of comes on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did your family knows that about you, right?
I would hope so. Yeah, they know that about me. Absolutely.
So how do they try and like pull you out of your shell when they know? Because your family sometimes they know you better than anyone, right? So how do they pull you out of if they notice you're being introverted?
I don't like reach out to my family all that often. I don't know. I just feel like they're so close by. Like they're just in Denver, so I talk to them every now and then on the phone. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't really. It's like if I'm feeling introverted, I can still be social.
Sure.
Or I can still be in social situations. I guess is what I'm saying. I'm not necessarily social, and I'm not necessarily contributing to the conversation. I can be there. I can be happy. I can be fine. I'm just not talkative. But I don't know if anyone does a good job of pulling me out of that. I don't know if I can be pulled out of it. It's just like an energy thing, I think. Like as far as like, contributing to the conversation. I don't know. It's like just can't force it. It has to be natural. I have to want to.
You have to want to. Is that like the defining fact? Like when you're hanging out with like other people from our team, or we're like watching fights at somebody's house, and you're telling jokes and stuff, totally comfortable, right? Is there like a major defining factor between that, or like I don't know, for me being around family sometimes is more challenging than like my everyday life. Just because I haven't seen them for a long time, right? And you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to, I want to make sure that this interaction goes well because I may not see them for another long time, So I think I'm minding my P's and dotting my T's a little bit more.
There's times with the teammates where like I'll just be quiet and I'm fine. I'm just quiet. I don't know. Yeah. And it really doesn't mean anything. It's just like in my head, like it's just one of those moments where like I don't have anything to say.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you experienced that, but
all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I've been trying to embrace more and more, all those sayings that say like you have two ears and one mouth, so you should be listening twice as much as you're talking.
Yeah, that's something I like too. I like listening too.
So I'm really trying to push myself to talk less, and inevitably that just means that other people might take it as that I'm disinterested or that I'm disconnected or something else. I think it's natural for other people to view it that way too, but that's not what's going on. It's just that, I'm taking in more. I don't know. I think there's wisdom in that.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually trying to go in reverse and engage and converse more. Make those connections more. And, be more present, I guess. Because I know I had a professor in college for one of my classes, and he described himself as an introvert. And he explained how it was exhausting for him to be a professor, but he still finds a way to do it and be energetic. And so, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to achieve that. You know what I mean?
How did he do it? It sounds like it was super inspiring.
That would have been incredibly intelligent of me to ask.
But the story that he told, it moved you into action.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Just recognizing. I don't know. I just made that connection with him. He kind of taught me about myself indirectly, and I think I just understood that I'm not I'm not antisocial. It's just these situations are exhausting for whatever reason, and so just recognizing that and learning how to deal with that, I guess.
Yeah. You finally find the knowledge that what I'm going through is not weird.
Yeah, exactly.
It's totally natural, and I can find a way out. It's so empowering to get that knowledge. Wow. Especially, it sounds like people like that, like you said in the very beginning of this show, you never know who it is that you're going to meet that's going to influence or impact your life, right? You might or you might not remember that professor's name still, but that thing that he said to you, you're going to remember that forever.
Definitely. Yeah, there are a few professors like that. There is one bit of advice that I'm not sure about. There's one professor that told us to be fired once in our lives.
Be fired?
Yeah, get fired from a job.
Why did he say that? Do you remember his reasoning?
I don't know. He just says it'll teach you about yourself. I don't know. It's a good life experience somehow. I haven't gone through it, and I don't want to, especially now. But then there's one bit of advice about jobs that a professor gave me is to quit a job that is just okay.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
don't settle.
Exactly. And he explained that if you found a job that you love, obviously you're going to keep it, and you should. And if you found a job that you hate, you're going to leave it because you know you hate it and you recognize it that you hate it. But if you find a job that it's okay, that's just okay, you're just going to keep saying it's okay, and you're never going to step out and grow. You're just going to be content with that.
Yeah. I think you could apply that to any area of your life. If you look at an area of your life and you ask yourself, how's it going? And you're like, okay, well then that's kind of what you're asking for it to continue to do. You have to step outside of whatever you're doing that's making it okay and make it great, make it better.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's another thing that martial arts has done for me, you know what I mean? Graduating from high school, I was 6'4", 150 pounds, so I was super skinny, super out of shape, and that was one of the things I was looking for in martial arts, getting into shape, and then also learning self-defense, and also just finding something that I enjoy, and then that built confidence within me.
And passion.
Yeah, passion, absolutely, exactly.
That's so important, and it's overlooked. You were talking about the good advice that your professors gave you. The best advice I ever got from a professor about jobs, she said, and this is one of those professors, I don't even remember her name, but I remember what she looked like and what she said. She said, select your job based on your happiness, and not on making money.
Yeah.
But she didn't say it in that kind of way. She said it all philosophically. like they do. But I followed that, and I let go of a few jobs in my time that paid well but didn't make me happy. And it's always been pretty sound advice that as long as I follow my happiness, because money is not happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Money is not gonna make me happy. It's other things. So if I follow my passion and follow my happiness, then I'm guaranteed to win, regardless of if I'm rich or poor.
Yeah.
But if I follow the money, then I'm never guaranteed happiness.
Yeah. And I think that's that connects to like I think that's what I was just talking about out there as far as finding a job that was Monday through Friday, like 9 to 5. That enables me to go to the gym every day like I've been doing, and I don't have to break that schedule with my gym, and I can still keep training and still keep competing without having to worry about scheduling, and that makes me happy. That makes me extremely happy, not having to worry about that, you know what I mean? Because the gym means a lot to me, and it has meant a lot to me, especially this past year, with all the positive changes in my life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, that's awesome when the schedule comes together.
Mm-hmm.
My schedule's so whacked out, I'm doing so many different things, and it's a new decade in like a couple weeks, and that's crazy, right? It's crazy to think about, some of those movies that we probably grew up on and watched, projected into the future, into 2020, so we're coming up on that, but I think it's gonna be a good change,
Definitely.
Like I said, tonight's the winter solstice, so this is the time for us to, step into who everyone else is already telling us that we already are, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was like one of the things I've heard you say that's been like pretty impactful as far as like changing your mindset and focusing on the positive. I've been focusing on that a lot and been doing that like over the past, year, and I think it's improved my mood a lot, I feel like, and made me more ambitious, and just made me, gave me the ability to enjoy a lot more and take a lot more risk, but like enjoy those moments, even if I like struggle with the moments of difficulty, just like realizing that good is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just a matter of shifting your focus, right? Shifting your attention.
Exactly.
Because you have the ability to pay attention to one or the other.
Exactly.
And that becomes the choice. And is the choice going to become automatic, or are you going to make like an actual choice to focus on the positive? Like it takes some effort, some energy to do that, because the bad shit's going to happen anyway. It's going to happen. You can't stop it.
Yeah.
As much as you isolate or what, you can't stop it. So accept that it's coming, and
embrace it and work with it.
Embrace it and focus on the positive. There's always a positive in every situation. It's just about having the skill set to find it. Sometimes I can't find a positive in a situation, but that's because I'm too close to the problem, So then I'll go share it with someone else, and they'll provide a perspective, and I'll be like, oh shit, you're right. That is, so sometimes it takes like this collective mind, this helping each other to get through that kind of stuff too.
For sure. Definitely.
Yeah, and I think, the phrase "the power of positivity" is played out, and it's really cheesy, but it's true. If you focus on the positive, you're gonna notice more of it.
Absolutely, and I think there's like plenty of positivity at our gym. Unfortunately, we lost some of it with Avery and Jake. Those were two very impactful people at the gym, and especially on my life. They pretty much connected me with the people I'm really close to, like Rosie and Chris and Mel and Patrick and all of them. You know what I mean? I think that was like one of those moments where like you're talking about, where like I have been like hanging out with the gym a lot more, and like showing a lot more of myself. Avery kind of being like really bold and abrasive, kind of like adopting me. She says she adopted me. Yeah. But yeah, that was definitely a positive impact.
Nice. So she helped make you comfortable to open up, and then you found others. Nice.
For sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I hope that just continues to spread.
It is. I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Absolutely. And then with your new job too, that's probably giving you plenty of opportunity to at least
change my approach and like be more open. I've been working on it. Yeah, absolutely. It's been helping a lot.
Sometimes in the business world you can't be like as open as you want to be, or as open as you could be maybe with your gym mates, right? We're a pretty open bunch, you know, when we're all together. But you got to be professional. You got to know when to draw the line.
For sure.
But being authentic is super important, right?
Definitely.
And being yourself in those situations.
Yeah, definitely. And I think hopefully I'm in an environment where I'm able to do that. The job that I'm at, those people seem to be all pretty relaxed. You know what I mean? Like they're just people. You know, they're working, but they're people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people going through the same shit we are, but just different.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Oh, I wanted to. I'm glad that you talked about the guitar because, and you even mentioned Jimi Hendrix because that is who Sorry to bounce around.
No worries, dude.
That's how my mind works.
No, I love that shit because I don't know. You pick up a different conversation, but then you want to bounce back. So go ahead.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I think we go down different rabbit holes on this conversation, but that's what the mind does, right? So that's what we do here. But yeah, jumping back to music, you mentioned Jimi Hendrix, and he's like the epitome in my mind of guitar, like exploring your consciousness through an instrument, you know, bending time and space with the chords that you're putting out there, you know.
Okay.
But it sounds like you also had, he was one of your influences too in wanting to explore guitar. Do you still go back to?
I don't want to claim that. There's no artist that I can name that is a super huge influence. It was just that I was learning a particular song by Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't want to claim to be a fan.
Who are your biggest influences?
As far as guitar?
Yeah.
None, man. I just I really like the guitar is the influence. I really like the sound of the guitar. You know what I mean? I like being able to play and play out a certain song. I can't sing along with it. I wish I could, but just the ability to play it. I like the techniques sliding and then hammering on. You know, how you can bend the chord to alter that sound, whamming and those different things. I genuinely, it's fascinating. It's cool. It's awesome. My goal was to be able to sort of freestyle with the guitar, and so in a sense, I guess Jimi Hendrix could be an influence. I've probably heard a guitar solo by Jimi Hendrix or even other great guitarists, but I don't know, I really like what they're able to do with the guitar. Yeah, and I wanted to be able to do that, but
so you don't listen to much guitar music?
No, just when I hear it, it's awesome. I probably hear it in hip hop, but hip hop is what I listen to the most.
Nice. I got super back into Wu-Tang Clan.
Okay,
in the last year. 2019's been a Wu-Tang year.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't listened to a lot of the old school. When I picked up hip hop, it was around. I was in high school. I was 14. So I don't know what year that was, but it was just before streaming became popular. You know what I mean? And so I'm just trying to keep up to date. Is what I'm saying. So I'm always listening to the next project or whatever, or I'll explore different artists on SoundCloud or Apple Music or whatever. But keeping up with music is so difficult.
I know. What's your go-to for listening?
Apple Music.
Apple?
Yeah.
I use Spotify mostly because I like to listen to entire albums at a time instead of regular single songs.
Okay.
I listen to Pandora if I'm in a mood where I want to find new music.
Okay.
So then I'll go to a station and usually a couple things will come on.
Yeah.
That I can go down the rabbit hole on YouTube with.
Definitely.
But you use Apple. I don't have any Apple stuff. That's why I don't use it.
Oh no, I don't have any Apple stuff either.
Oh.
It's just a subscription service really. And the only reason they won me over was because there used to be a point, I think it was called the streaming wars, but say Spotify would have some exclusive artists and Apple had Drake exclusive, so a specific album by Drake was exclusive on Apple at the time. So
they reeled you in with
They reeled me in with that, a single album. It's crazy, right? But then, like, that's the service I was using. I was paying for it so I could listen to that album, but I also got to listen to other albums, and so I was building my library on that service, and so I can't just change.
It's crazy how companies kind of rope us into those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're like, if you leave us, you won't get any of this music.
Yeah, they didn't.
Keep it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fucked up.
And I mean, like, it's as simple as, like, dropping that service and picking it back up with another one, but Apple Music's fine.
Yeah.
I think there's probably certain things I would enjoy about Spotify, but Spotify doesn't require you to have an account, so... Right. Or do they? No, I don't think they do.
No, but some artists you can't access, and some full albums you can't access. And you can't say, I don't think you can save things to your library for listening offline without it. I don't even pay for mine. Like, I'm on a friend's family plan.
Okay.
He has a family plan and not much family to share with, so it's pretty much family. Yeah. I think that's interesting, like how cable TV is still a thing. Like, it's still around. It costs like $120 or something a month. Yeah. There's satellite TV still around. Costs a shitload. But you can literally, like, even if you paid for all the streaming services, it would still be less than $100, and that would be for all of them.
Yeah.
Right? But even if you chose like 2 of those and something else, then you could be saving a ton of money. And if you know enough people, you could get on family plans and not pay anything for your entertainment.
Yeah,
well, communal savings.
A group of us were kind of thinking of that, like, you could, like, form a team unit sort of, and, like, get, like, the different subscriptions, and then, like, get the family plans or whatever, and then, like, divide up that cost, and it would be so cheap and a lot more possible. But, yeah, that's an interesting thing. But,
and everyone has access to everything.
Yeah.
And equal responsibility to pay, you know.
Mm-hmm. For sure. But yeah, I don't know, cable's interesting. It is weird that it's still around, but I think it definitely is like an older consumer base that just hasn't made the switch to the internet. Like, I know my mom doesn't necessarily use the internet. I don't know why.
She's still cable?
I think so.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's like you can't quite get rid of the landline.
Yeah.
The landline phone.
I don't know anyone with a landline. Do you have one?
I don't have one, but I have relatives that are older that.
Oh yeah, naturally, yeah, that would make sense.
No, it's interesting though, because when I was growing up, like, if you had cable TV, like, your house was the place to hang out.
Oh, okay.
Because that's where all the channels were. Because everyone else just had antenna, and so you get like maybe 20 channels.
Yeah, honestly, I dealt with that for a period of time. Like, my grandmother had cable, but we didn't have my house for whatever reason, and so, like, going over to my grandma's house was a treat, you know?
Right, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and that, you know, that's how it was, too, when cell phones first were, you know. Mm-hmm. Everyone had a landline back when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah. I had a landline when I was a kid, too. I loved, I'm kind of trying to avoid doing it with your headphones right now, but, like, the cords reminds me of the ones on landlines, and I would always get those tangled up, and I couldn't fix it. I was so irritated.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, those freaking cords. And cordless phones became a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I'm wondering what's coming up next. But I think we live in a really exciting time.
Oh yeah, definitely. A lot of change at a rapid pace too. Mm-hmm. We're exploring a lot of different things for sure. Mm-hmm. Didn't they clone something recently?
They've been cloning shit for a long time.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
I know that I read that China's working on a pig-human hybrid.
That's what I'm thinking of. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of.
That's, yeah. You know, I talked to some of my classmates about this, because we talk a lot about ethics, and because we run our own research, right? So we have to be really concerned about ethics when it comes to humans being used in research. And cause there's been a lot of terrible tragedies that have happened in the name of science. But where was I going with that? Ethics,
as far as like the human pig.
Oh yeah, so I was talking to my classmates about this, and like other countries have different ethics than we do, right? Okay. So we have different research standards over here. We won't even allow stem cells right now, right? So definitely won't be cloning any pig man people, unless it's like Black Ops stuff. But like, we allow other countries to do it because we're kind of like, that seems interesting, but we don't want to be held responsible.
Curious, but don't want to take the blame.
And so it's interesting how by not saying anything, we're
just as responsible.
Right, we're helping to facilitate it. Therefore, it's happening because of our choice. And if it's happening, then you know, why aren't we exploring far outlandish ideas? You know, just throwing that out there. Like, we're not actively condoning it, but we're not stopping it. I know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it is something I think about because, like, to what extent do we want to like play with life? I guess, but I don't know what's wrong and what's wrong and what's right. Really,
right.
So that, like, as far as those matters, like, I just don't know.
Right. And I think technology is the same thing. Like, I think technology might even be like a form of life. You know, eventually we're
artificial
gonna
intelligence.
Yeah, we're gonna make it a life. You know, and then who's to say? You know, what are we doing? Altering technology. You know, it's gonna get freaking crazy in the next 50 to 100 years, and I'm super pumped. I'm excited. I'm excited to just like ride the wave that, you know, of fuckery that comes around.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we already have celebrity presidents and and shit like that.
Seems like it's gonna get chaotic. Yeah, it's interesting for sure.
Yeah. Maybe 20 years. Have you ever seen Idiocracy?
No.
Oh, you gotta see that movie, man. By Mike Judge, the guy who did Beavis and Butthead back in the day.
Okay, where can I watch it? Do you know?
We'll look it up after the show.
Gotcha.
It's hilarious, dude. It was like a '90s movie that was put out and made the future look just totally ridiculous.
Okay.
But you go back and watch it now, and it's like just like what's happening now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty ridiculous. So, I think it's gonna be even more ridiculous. I don't know. I think the smart are gonna. People are gonna rise to the top. You know, we're gonna see what happens.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of different things. What do you feel about like that Tesla truck?
Well, the one that I saw, I thought looked awesome, but then there was another one that kind of looks like a stealth bomber on wheels. That one, I don't like the way that looks. I don't know if that's the truck or not, but a Tesla truck.
I think that's the truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I wouldn't get that, but I'll show you a picture of a Tesla truck that I saw online that looks freaking sweet. Yeah, I think that's. I don't know. I like that they're electric and they save on the environment that way. But I also heard that the cost of materials involved in building one of those things doesn't. I mean, if it barely offsets the amount that it saves.
Okay.
Because it costs so much more resources to build one.
Yeah. Okay.
So my vote is that we go towards more sustainable, like, development of things.
Yeah, I would love to.
How do we, like, use less and get more out of it? And then also, like, how do we reuse some of the shit that we made dirty? You know, landfills are going to be a serious fucking problem real soon in our lifetime.
That's tough. I think about the amount of trash I produce, just like snacking all day or whatever, like getting individual like items and like how often I take out the recycling and the trash, and hearing stories that like recycling may not even go to the recycling; it might just go to the landfill anyways. And so I'm just like thinking about like how much I'm contributing to it, and you know, like just wondering like what it would take for all of us, because like I don't even know what it would take for me to like. I don't know how I would reduce my footprint in a way, you know what I mean? Like, what do you do?
Right. Well, yeah, I think we recycle pretty well in this household, and we're going to start a compost pit. If you have that ability to start compost for all your organic matter, then that can be really helpful. But you're right, like, it's so frustrating to hear, you know, I'll put something in the recycling, and then my wife will be like, oh, you can't recycle that. What? It's plastic. And it has the recycle symbol on it. She's like, oh, but the city just changed this thing where they don't accept this certain number and this type of plastic anymore.
Oh wow.
So they're getting more and more selective as far as like what they take.
Okay. That's crazy.
Yeah, which then you're right. Then most of it just goes to the landfill, and that is a major problem. I know we were shipping a lot of our trash and stuff over to China and different countries like them for them to process it for us, but because of Trump and things like that, I think China's stopped taking our trash, and so yeah, we got to deal with our own shit.
Absolutely.
We gotta pull our heads out of our asses and get rid of the old guard.
Yeah.
Bring in these new innovative thinkers.
Mm-hmm. I think there's greed in play, right, as far as like oil companies and things like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's
petroleum.
unfortunate. Mm-hmm.
Most everything is still petroleum based. Most plastics and stuff. So yeah, until people start like voting with their dollars and start buying sustainable plastics, you can make plastic out of plant material, out of hemp.
Oh yeah, hemp is a big one. Cannabis in general.
Yeah. The whole plant is, if we just embrace it, it could be our savior, you know, away from these fossil fuels that are like killing the planet.
Definitely. Yeah, it's interesting how like something that has so many practical uses is I don't even understand, like, do you know like what initially caused like the ban of it?
Well, yeah, it's a long story, but back in the day, I'll try and sum it up. So back around, I'm not going to misquote the decade, because we got really baked beforehand, and I won't be able to remember. But there was a conflict between paper companies and hemp companies, because hemp was saying we can make better paper, it'll last longer, it's more durable. And the paper companies who were at the time making most of the money were like, fuck you, you're not going to come in and take our business, so we're going to start spreading rumors about you. So they started spreading rumors about cannabis being like this demon drug that takes over people's minds, and then they tied it very nicely with hemp, right? Because they're similar plants, but I mean, you know, they're different, right? Hemp is more industrial, whereas cannabis is more medicinal, and they have different benefits and different properties. But they're kind of in the same family. Yeah. And so he connected these two, and then that's actually where the name marijuana came from, is because you know, they started connecting this demon drug that alters your mind to immigrating Mexicans that were coming to the U.S. and like taking jobs, or you know, however they were trying to spin it in politics. And then so they started calling it marijuana, which is you know, a Mexican weed. So when people use that term these days, it's not really accurate. We should be saying cannabis, like you said earlier. So yeah, then it all got prohibited, right? Because there was a huge misunderstanding, and people were like scared of it. That's the same thing that happened with psychedelics too. Like there was really successful psychedelic scientific research in the 50s and 60s. And then a couple things went wrong in the media, and it was spun the wrong way, and the whole population was lied to, you know, and then everything was prohibited. Same thing with alcohol prohibition too, you know, but by that time there were enough people that were drinking that were like, you guys are idiots, we're going to create our own black market, and a lot more people died because of prohibition than we probably would have if it was still legal back then.
Yeah, I guess that's interesting because of the vape situation. You know about that, like as far as
I heard something about that, like tainted cannabis vapes were causing all those lung issues that people were reporting, right? What was the contributing factor in those? Because I use those vape pens sometimes.
Yeah, so if you buy them from a dispensary, they're usually pretty safe. But the thing is people can buy them from like a drug dealer, like in a black market, basically. And you know, what goes into the vape is like I think like wax, and it's cut with usually cut with terpenes, like what's the word, aromatic oil or aroma oil. I don't know. It's found in plants and marijuana naturally, but it can be used to cut the wax so you can vape it a lot easier. And normally that's fine. But how I understand it is that black market drug dealers in states where it's illegal will like use something cheaper and cut it with like pesticides or
because
vitamin D
terpenes
or
are
something like
good
that.
are a good part of the
Yeah,
plant.
exactly.
Yeah, and so it's good when you cut it with something that's already included in the plant. So they're using like chemicals to go in there and like strip it or break it apart to a smokable form.
Yeah, they're like just trying to like cut it down. And,
why
like,
do they do that? Just easier,
save their
cheaper?
cost.
Oh,
yeah, it's cheaper, and then like they overdo it too, so there's probably not as much like THC in it as well. So, I think people are just like smoking these things and hitting them all day, and continuously buying them and like breathing in like chemicals that they shouldn't be breathing. Like I think cyanide. I don't know. Yeah, I think cyanide. I think that's what the pesticides are breaking down into. But it's just doing long-term damage to people.
That's crazy. Yeah, it makes me wary about vaping.
Yeah, it's only natural. You don't know like what they're doing to it.
But you say if you get it from a dispenser, you're probably good.
Yeah. I believe they do like lab test and like their of course their standards.
Right.
That they're held to.
That's a good thing that about regulation of
Exactly.
drugs that I think people overlook. Like the legalization process brings a lot of benefits. Eliminating black market, regulating drugs, making sure drugs are safe for people. 'Cause people are going to use drugs no matter what. If you outlawed caffeine today, people would find a way to get their coffee in the morning, guaranteed.
Yeah.
No problem. Totally. They're going to find some way. They're going to start mainlining energy drinks or something.
I mean, like teens find a way to get alcohol now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
No problem.
So more restriction is obviously not the answer. That doesn't work. But legalization, although it sounds daunting because it means, in a lot of people's minds, it means free for all, right? Anarchy, crazy people running around in the streets tripping, stuff like that. But legalization brings regulation. It brings all those benefits with it. It brings a lot of taxpayer money. I can't tell you how many stories I've read in Colorado newspapers since they legalized marijuana about how the tax money from that industry is helping to fund like schools and all these social projects that wouldn't be around if cannabis was not legal here.
That's awesome.
There's so many benefits, and the research, we can do the research here because we can use it. So there's so many doors to get opened.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I think that's a good place for us to call it a night.
Cool.
Sound good?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, Ronald, I want to thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure to sit down with you and get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, man. I think it'll help other people get to know me better too. Yeah,
I think so too. So, last little parting piece of advice. If you had any like, I know we talked about a couple of things that mentors have said to us in the past, but if you could leave the audience with just like a little piece of yourself, just like, hey, this is something I've learned on my journeys through this consciousness, what would something like that be?
Not to be like too long-winded about it, but my first 3 fights, I had a kickboxing match and 2 MMA fights. I lost all 3 of those fights, and it really impacted me and made me think of myself in a negative regard, made me doubt myself. But I mostly want to say like to my teammates, but like to anyone who it could help. Progress may be slow, but it's happening, and you'll eventually get better. And so I don't think you should let failures impede you and make you think that you won't see success someday. Did I say that clearly? I hope so. Yeah.
Well, I thought it sounded really clear.
Cool.
There's another like quote about that successful people have failed more times than unsuccessful people have even tried. So failure is guaranteed. Failure is a part of the journey, but being able to use failure to your benefit rather than letting it hold you back. Yeah, that's the choice you got to make.
Exactly.
Nice. Well, thanks, Ronald. I really appreciate having you here, and I'll see you on the mats.
Indeed. Thank you.
All right, folks. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I most certainly did. Stick around. We're gonna have a lot more shows coming your way this winter break. have some time off of school, so getting all the recordings in. All right, see you guys. Conversations with the Mind podcast is sponsored by mindops.com. You can find us at www.mind-ops.com. We're an eclectic counseling company providing mental health and mental performance services to individuals, small and large groups, teams, businesses, military, through face-to-face sessions or at a distance using phone or confidential video chat apps. We bring a unique Buddhist Western lens and specialize in general psychotherapy for all mental difficulties, sport and performance psychology for performance enhancement, addiction counseling for any maladaptive or destructive habits, and psychedelic integration therapy to make the most from your visionary medicine work. We are available as well for corporate workshops to address the needs of your employees' wellness.